Imagine standing before the mighty Alps, a mountain range no army believed it could cross. For centuries, these towering mountains protected northern Italy. Rome believed they were an unbreakable wall. But one man looked at those frozen peaks and saw an opportunity instead of an obstacle. His name was Hannibal Barca. The year was 218 BC. Rome was growing into the most powerful republic in the Mediterranean. Hannibal knew he could never defeat Rome by fighting where they expected. He needed to do something no commander had ever attempted. Behind him stood nearly 50,000 soldiers. Thousands of horses and mighty war elephants waited for the order to march. At sunrise, the Carthaginian army began its incredible journey. Every step carried them closer to the impossible. The green valleys slowly disappeared behind them. Ahead lay nothing but towering cliffs and endless snow. The higher they climbed, the colder the air became. Even breathing started to feel more difficult. Many young soldiers stared silently at the mountains. Some wondered if they would ever return home. Despite the growing danger, Hannibal never showed fear. His confidence gave strength to the entire army. Standing before his men, Hannibal declared that Rome believed these mountains would protect them forever. Today, they would prove Rome wrong. The soldiers answered with a thunderous roar. Their determination echoed through the valleys. But the mountains were not their only enemy. Hidden tribes watched every movement from the cliffs above. These warriors knew every path through the Alps. They waited patiently for the perfect moment to attack. As evening approached, Hannibal's scouts returned with urgent news. Enemy warriors had gathered above the narrow pass. Hannibal understood the danger immediately. An attack from above could destroy the entire army. Instead of waiting, he made a daring decision. Under the cover of darkness, elite soldiers quietly climbed the cliffs. The climb was slow and incredibly dangerous. One mistake could send a soldier into the frozen valley below. Before sunrise, Hannibal's best warriors had already secured the high ground. They waited silently among the rocks. At dawn, the mountain tribes launched their attack. They never expected Hannibal's soldiers to be waiting for them. The battle was fierce but short. Hannibal's careful planning had turned the ambush against its attackers. Victory belonged to Carthage, but it came at a heavy cost. Many brave soldiers would never continue the journey. There was no time to celebrate. The army pressed deeper into the frozen mountains. Snow covered every narrow trail. Horses struggled to keep their footing on the ice. Even the mighty war elephants found the steep slopes difficult, yet they continued climbing beside the soldiers. Each day became colder than the last. Food grew scarcer, and exhaustion spread through the ranks. Then disaster struck without warning. Part of the mountain path suddenly collapsed beneath the supply wagons. Food, equipment, and precious supplies disappeared into the deep valley below. The loss was devastating. For a long moment, complete silence filled the mountains. Every soldier wondered how they could possibly continue. Hannibal slowly walked to the edge of the broken trail. His calm expression never changed. He reminded his men that stopping meant certain death. The only way to survive was to keep moving. The engineers immediately searched for another route. Giving up was never an option. Soon they faced an even greater obstacle. A massive landslide blocked the only path through the mountains. Huge boulders formed a wall that seemed impossible to pass. Even Hannibal's officers began to lose hope. But Hannibal refused to accept defeat. He believed there was always another way forward. Throughout the freezing night, engineers built enormous fires against the rocks. Flames lit up the snowy mountains. When the stones became red hot, they were carefully cracked apart. Day after day, the soldiers cleared a new path. At last, the mountain pass opened once again. The Carthaginian army resumed its march toward Italy. After days of relentless struggle, the army finally reached one of the highest ridges of the Alps. The hardest part of the climb was now behind them. Hannibal stood at the edge of the mountain in complete silence. Every soldier waited to hear what their commander would say next. As the morning mist slowly cleared, an incredible sight appeared. Far beyond the mountains lay the green plains of northern Italy. Hannibal raised his arm and pointed toward the horizon. There lies Italy, and beyond it, Rome. For the first time in weeks, Hope returned to the exhausted army. The impossible no longer seemed impossible. The soldiers smiled despite their exhaustion. They finally understood that every sacrifice had brought them closer to victory. The descent began carefully along steep, icy slopes. Every step remained dangerous. Several horses lost their footing on the frozen trail. The men worked together to guide them safely downhill. Even the mighty elephants struggled during the descent. Their handlers calmly led them through the narrow paths. Slowly, the snow began to disappear. Patches of green grass appeared beside the trail. The freezing mountain air became warmer each day. Trees and rivers replaced endless fields of snow. When the army finally stepped onto the plains of Italy, many soldiers could hardly believe their eyes. They had survived the Alps. News spread across northern Italy with incredible speed. Villagers watched in disbelief as Hannibal's army marched past. Messengers rode toward Rome as fast as their horses could carry them. They brought unbelievable news. At first, many Romans refused to believe the reports. Crossing the Alps with elephants sounded impossible. Soon, Roman scouts confirmed the truth. Hannibal and his army were standing on Italian soil. The Roman Senate was thrown into panic. Their carefully planned defenses had been completely bypassed. Over the following months, Hannibal defeated Roman armies again and again. His tactical brilliance amazed both friends and enemies. His greatest victory came at Cannae. One of Rome's largest armies was surrounded and defeated. Even after so many victories, Hannibal never captured the city of Rome. The war continued for many years. Eventually, Rome recovered and carried the war into North Africa. Carthage was forced into a final struggle. Although Hannibal was ultimately defeated, his reputation never faded. His courage became legendary. Historians still debate the exact route he followed through the Alps. But no one doubts what he achieved. Leading tens of thousands of soldiers through those mountains required extraordinary leadership. Few commanders could have done the same. More than 2,000 years later, Hannibal's journey continues to inspire people around the world. His story reminds us that determination can overcome even the greatest obstacles. History is often changed by those willing to attempt what everyone else believes is impossible. Hannibal's crossing of the Alps remains one of the greatest military achievements in human history. His name became a symbol of courage, determination, and bold leadership. Few leaders have ever inspired such lasting admiration. The impossible journey across the Alps changed the course of the Second Punic War forever. Even today, the image of Hannibal leading soldiers and elephants through the frozen mountains continues to capture the world's imagination. Some stories fade with time. Hannibal's never did.